I get people that complain, people who don't know the norms of the film and TV industry, and they call taxi and go, you guys forwarded me to a company that wants 100% of the publisher share. Oh my gosh, I took a course in college that said never give up your publishing. I'm a fan of, if you think you're going to pitch that song to Beyonce, don't give up the publishing. If the song's been sitting, on your hard drive for 17 years and there's literally no chance it's ever going to be a hit for somebody, give up the publisher share if you know that the publisher is a reputable, solid publisher that gets placements for people, because you're going to write other songs, and having 100% of a song that's never going to generate a penny doesn't make sense.
Well, and plus there's a difference between ownership or royalties, because when we say publisher share, that often refers to royalties, which usually you end up giving up ownership along with that, but you don't necessarily have to. It's going to depend on the deal. So you may or may not be giving up ownership, but you may be giving up 100% of publisher royalties, which basically is like half. It's like 50 cents of every dollar that comes in.
So are there publishers, music libraries, I should probably use that term. Are there music libraries?
Because I don't consider libraries to be publishers, even though they want to be.
Well, technically they are, but they don't act like a traditional publisher. But, that has a stable full of writers. And
they're not doing co-writes, they're not getting you cuts, like they're just pitching for sync. Which is the traditional role of a library. But now these libraries have just decided, well, it's so much more advantageous for us if we can actually own the copyrights.
What about, have you ever seen a deal where they own the copyright and they don't own the master? I would think that they all, really?
Yeah, well, so in the pitching world, people, and this was in one of the questions too, is that supervisors like a one-stop clearance, meaning they can clear the composition side and the master side in the same
phone call or
same
email.
phone call, email, all in one go, same license. But that's not always the case, especially if there's a label involved or for whatever reason. So sometimes the master owner and the publisher, the library, or whoever's licensing on the composition side are not necessarily the same person or the same company.
Right.
So, it happens, I'd say more in the indie world, one-stop is more common because it's, if it's a self-release artist or something, so it's easier. Or, like some of my publisher clients, if the masters are not controlled by a label, then we will add those into the deal, so that way we can do one-stop licensing. But, again, that doesn't mean that that's going to be the case.
So do some indie artists do indie record label deals where they retain ownership of the master, but the label is just licensing the use of the master to put out that record?
Yeah, but in that situation, the label will still be the exclusive representative, so any licensing opportunities that come in will still have to go through the label. But I have seen indie record deals where they are licensing the masters and the artist is not giving up the ownership.
That's a smart artist.
Yeah.
It's not easy to do that, right?
No.
You've got to have something that gives you leverage.
Well, but some indie labels kind of want to have that more partnership feel in their deals, so some of them are not asking for ownership and they just kind of license it and do a 50-50 split on the income.
Do they have some sort of step deal that if they sell 100,000 units that they get ownership, or they've earned their way to ownership?
Yeah, that's one of those things that just totally depends on the deal, because like how we've talked about libraries before is that it'll say like, oh, if we get you a placement of sync fees at least $1,500, then we own the copyright, or things like that, which my take on that is $1,500 enough, or, you know, whatever the number is that enough for you to give up your ownership of it? Because it's like you said, is this a song that maybe could be, you know, Beyonce's next hit, or is this a song that's been on your hard drive for 17 years and, you know, who cares?
And you have to be realistic about that, because the vast majority of what people have is not going to be a hit for Beyonce.
Right.
So even though it comes from your heart and your soul and you put a lot of effort into it, if it's been sitting there for a while and you haven't had the means to pitch it well, and maybe it's a style of music that is now passé, you might as well monetize it in some way. I'm a pragmatic person.
Yeah.